Ответы. Где ответы? Как тумбочку сделать? Взорвали кубаршу. А? А я пошлите домой. А хули вы ОМОН нагнали сюда? Давай-ка, уебывай отсюда! А ну-ка, давай-ка, уебывай отсюда! А ну-ка!
Потише!
Знаете, что завтра? А вот расписание вот там на счетах висят. Погромче маленько!
Пойти во взвод.
Вот смотри, вот стоят мои.
Так вы нам отвечайте на вопросы, а не другие люди. Вы же нас шатать приехали.
И на ваши вопросы.
Вы за свиней ответьте. За свиней.
Это вы, брат, суету навели!
Подойди, братан.
Кипиш вы навели! Ваша вина!
Генерал Якушин, ответь-ка нахуй, чем нам, за нам.
Ты же знаешь, куда нас отправляешь, блядь.
Нахуй!
Генерал, блядь. Ты в тепле жопу сидеть будешь жевать, блядь.
Генерал! Если ответку убирать надо! Эй, генерал, блядь!
Извини!
Пацаны, сюда, гу!
Куда одел погоны, ёпта? Как девчонка? Иди посмотри, сколько бухой пришел сюда, блядь!
This video absolutely blows me away. And every time I see a Russian video where it shows Russian leadership, in this case a general officer in the Russian military, engaging with soldiers, I am shocked at the lack of good order and discipline that is maintained. So there's two things to focus on here. First, you focus on the troops, and then more importantly, you focus on the general. So when you focus on the troops, you see that they're calling this general various names, they're jeering him. I had to cut it off short, the video, because they started calling him very homophobic names, and it would have violated community guidelines, so I had to get rid of that portion of the video. But they started calling him names, they started calling him out for his cushy living standards, they started yelling at him, in a sense, trying to separate his general staff from him when that major walked out, and they were like, "Major, are you with us?" That's unbelievable. That is incredible that that would be happening. And the reason is in the U.S. military, general officers are like gods. They are the almighty to soldiers, airmen, Marines, sailors, etc., admirals, I guess, in the Navy. But you would not see that. You would not see that. You would not see soldiers standing outside of a general's tent chanting insults, questioning his authority, trying to separate his staff, drive a wedge between his staff and him. And the reason is my number 2 point here, the number 2 focal point is that you wouldn't see general officers in the U.S. military conducting themselves in the way this general was in the Russian military. He clearly was drunk, and Russian soldiers were calling him out for being drunk. And he clearly couldn't answer the questions they were asking. Not that he should have in that forum. That was basically a mob rule forum. But that mob that had formed and the questions and the perception that general is giving off was 100% that general's fault. He is not maintaining good order and discipline from a top-down approach, even within himself. And again, that is a situation where the U.S. military, you would not see that happen. You would not see a general in the field, completely drunk, addressing a mob of their troops in the U.S. military. I've never seen that in my entire career. I don't think I've even read about something as crazy as that, perhaps maybe in Civil War, but I don't even think it would have been generals. I think it would have been other military officers, but they're held to the same standard. So a military officer, whether you're a major or a general or even a lieutenant, you're held to such a high standard that actions like this would, elicit an immediate either reprimand or relief from command in the U.S. military. Absolutely. But this is acceptable in the Russian military, and it is a larger picture that is being painted of why they're failing. At the very baseline of a military, you have to have good order and discipline. You can't be drunk as a soldier, and you certainly cannot be drunk as an officer, and it is unthinkable to be drunk addressing soldiers as a general officer, especially if he's in command. I don't know if he is or not in this video. Sure seems like it, because why would they go to someone who's not their commander to voice their displeasure? But this is on a new level of low. We operated in the U.S. military for decades, assuming the Russian military was on par with the U.S. when it came to at least the soldiering level. We assumed that, yes, we have a technological advantage. We assumed, yes, we have a spending advantage, a population advantage. But we never really assumed just how bad the soldiers in these units were. And it kind of dawned on me a while back. So I read, I think it's Mike Durant. I'm doing this off the cuff now. Mike Durant, he was the movie Black Hawk Down. He wrote a book. It was a fantastic book, and I'm kicking myself for not remembering the book. It might have been Black Hawk Down, but I read the book long ago, and there was a telling portion of that book where the U.S. forces were doing PT, physical training, around the little base that they lived on, and they were just in their PTs running around, getting physically fit. And there was a portion, and I'm paraphrasing because, again, this was shit like a decade ago I read this book, but it stuck out to me where he said, as they were running by, they would pass the Russian soldiers that were there as a part of the UN. This is obviously in Mogadishu in Somalia. And they would be running, and they would see the Russian soldiers drinking vodka on their vehicles, completely shit-faced, and looking at the Americans kind of sympathetically as they ran by, but also glad that a war with Russia and between the United States and Russia never went hot. And that kind of stuck with me because it shows the difference in professionalism. It shows that the U.S. military is very serious about the way it conducts business, it is very professional, it is very much about the business of warfare, whether it is the art of commanding or the science of the tactics. It is always in a learning and evolving and professional military. In this video, and in many, many other videos, and in the Black Hawk Down book, which took place, that was decades ago, it seems that this has been a continuation. And people like me, we were wrong to assume that Russia was anywhere remotely close to on par with the U.S. or Western nations when it came to the ability to conduct warfighting or even handle basic good order and discipline. And that's what we are seeing right now in videos like this. And it's very telling. And I hope that we don't use this in the United States as an excuse to become complacent, to go, well, Jesus, they were our main rival, and clearly they're terrible, so what are we doing all this for? Well, we need to maintain our level of standards and our level of discipline, and I fully believe we are. I fully believe that the U.S. military is still the premier military, even in the face of China, even in the face of other countries. And I know a lot of people from the United Kingdom will kind of give me rib jabs, and I welcome it, but I think that the U.S. needs to maintain that standard. Otherwise, we're just a generation from looking like the Russian military, and that's a bad look.